Awesome. Just for prosperity's sake, this is Bard to the Bone. I'm Sean Eustace. I'm playing your moderator slash host. And today we're going to have Erin Klarner is going to run us through a bit about, it was just, I think, a small message that was like, we have this idea about prophecy and witches and ambition. I'm like, that sounds like a cool topic. And here we are. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit. Erin, if you want to head off, or do you want me to start out the slideshow stuff?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, let me share the evidence. Okay,
We.
all you.
All right. So, I guess this is our group tonight, so that's neat. Maybe we'll have some stragglers, but if not, then everyone will be pressed into volunteering. That's kind of how that works when you show up. Um, so I had this idea for this talk, very loosely described, while rereading Henry VI Part 2. And it was the part where Eleanor, the wife of Gloucester, is plotting this coven that she's got going on, and they're summoning whatever they're summoning, and then they get caught, of course, and she gets banished with Lord Stanley and all of that. But I thought, when I was reading that, I thought, hey, there are other plays that have prophecies, and as Sean so succinctly described the theme that I was going for, the scenes that we're looking at tonight are in large part an exercise in what happens when you don't listen to your wife. Or and then we have a couple of counter examples like Lady Macbeth. Of course, what happens when you do listen to your wife if your wife is a terrible person? So that's kind of the theme that we've got going on here. Oh, thank you, Sean.
Yep,
What
those are
what
the,
is that?
and I'm also going to go ahead and drop the, uh, there we go. That should be showing up. I'm also going to drop some PDFs of these scenes in the chat as well. So hopefully that'll help.
Thanks, Sean. Now, if anybody's joining us on a tablet or something, then the PDFs won't work, so they'll need to use the other.
You can use
So
the
it's great that you're providing both. As you can see, I'm not going to read my slides to you because that's rude. I assume everyone here can read. But I've kind of got an order of excerpts that we can talk about, and I've grouped them on purpose, believe it or not. The first two that I've got listed are Hermione from Winter's Tale and Calpurnia from Julius Caesar. And the reason that I put those two first is because they're the two who most explicitly talk about there being prophecies and oracles. Those things happen in the context of the play. We get to see them rather than them being something that's discussed off stage. So, without further ado, I know everyone was hoping for lots of ado, but I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. We can talk about Hermione first. Um, I've got a little blurb here on my slide. If you haven't read Winter's Tale in a while and you forgot what's going on at the section in the play where we are, it's right there for you to read. But like I said, I'm not going to read my slides to you. That's silly. So, if we could perhaps get that scene up for everyone, Sean, and
Yep.
then we can all be looking at the same thing.
Yep, let me get this right up here. All right, let me switch the thing that I'm sharing. There we go. Okay, and I went ahead and took the opportunity of looking like, okay, who's what in this? The large roles are Leontes and Hermione, and then
Takers?
we have like officer, first lord, some lords, servant, and Paulina as like some one one-offs. So if anybody would like to volunteer
So
for
can we
Leontes,
do Hermione, Leontes, and miscellaneous?
yeah, we can just switch it like that. If anybody's wants to just jump in, otherwise me and Erin will go ahead and do it.
I'll do Leontes.
Thank you.
Awesome. And would any of our other guests, would you like to take on Hermione? Okay, it's fine. Do you want to do it, Erin, or do you want to hear me doing it?
I want to hear you do it, Sean.
Fine.
Mhm.
And you'll go ahead and just take over all the other little
Sure.
ones.
So I'll start. I'll start with the officer here. No,
Yeah.
I guess I get. What did I mark? 1221. We're starting with Leontes. Read the indictment.
Yep.
Okay. That's easy. Read the indictment.
Hermione, queen to the worthy Leontes, king of Sicilia, thou art here accused and arraigned of high treason in committing adultery with Polixenes, king of Bohemia, and conspiring with Camillo to take away the life of our sovereign lord the king, the royal husband. The pretense whereof being by circumstances partly laid open, thou, Hermione, contrary to the faith and allegiance of a true subject, didst counsel and aid them for their better safety to fly away by night.
Since what I am to say must be but that which contradicts my accusation and the testimony on my part, no other but what comes from myself, it shall scarce boot me to say not guilty. Mine integrity being counted falsehood shall, as I express it, be so received, but thus, if powers divine, behold our human actions as they do. I do not doubt then, but innocence shall make false accusation blush, and tyranny tremble at patience. You, my lord, best know, who least will seem to do so, my past life hath been as continent, as chaste, as true as I am now unhappy, which is more than history can pattern, though devised and played to take spectators. For behold me, a fellow of the royal bed, which owe a moiety of the throne, a great king's daughter, the mother to a hopeful prince, here standing, to prate and talk for life and honor, for who please to come and hear for life, I prize it, as I weigh grief, which I would spare. For honor, 'tis a derivative from me to mine, and only that I stand for. I appeal to your own conscience, sir, before Polixenes came to your court, how I was in your grace, how merited to be so, since he came with what encounter so uncurrent I have strained to appear thus. If one jot beyond the bound of honor, or in act or will, that way inclining, hardened be the hearts of all that hear me, and my nearest of kin cry fie upon my grave.
I ne'er heard yet that any of these bolder vices wanted less impudence to gainsay what they did than to perform it first.
That's true enough, though 'tis a saying, sir, not due to me.
You will not own it?
More than mistress of which comes to me in name of fault, I must not at all acknowledge, for Polixenes, with whom I am accused, I do confess I loved him as an honor he required, with such a kind of love as might become a lady like me, with a love even such, so and no other, as yourself commanded, which not to have done, I think had been in me both disobedience and ingratitude to you and toward your friend, whose love had spoke, even since it could speak, from an infant freely that it was yours. Now for conspiracy, I know not how it tastes, though it be dished for me to try how. All I know of it is that Camillo was an honest man, and why he left your court, the gods themselves, wotting no more than I, are ignorant.
You knew of this departure, as you know, what you have undertaken due in's absence.
Sir, you speak a language that I understand not. My life stands in the level of your dreams, which I'll lay down.
Your actions.
My bad.
Oh.
Tell you.
Your actions are my dreams. You had a bastard by Polixenes, and I but dreamt it, as you were past all shame. Those of your fact or so past all truth, which to deny concerns more than avails. For as thy brat hath been cast out like to itself, no father owning it, which is indeed more criminal in thee than it, so thou shalt feel our justice, in whose passage look for no less than death.
Sir, spare your threats. The bug which you would fright me with, I seek. To me, life can be no commodity. The crown and comfort of my life, your favor, I do give lost, for I feel it gone, but know not how it went. My second joy and first fruits of my body, from his presence I am barred, like one infectious. My third comfort, starred most unluckily, is from my breast, the innocent milk in its most innocent mouth, hailed out to murmur, myself on every post, proclaimed a strumpet with immodest hatred, the childbed privilege denied, which longs to women. Sorry, lost my place. It belongs to women of all fashion. Lustly hurried here to this place in the open air before I have got strength of limit. Now, my liege, tell me what blessings I have here alive, that I should fear to die? Therefore proceed, yet hear this. Mistake me not, no life. I prize it not a straw, but for mine honor, which I would free, if I shall be condemned, upon surmises, all proofs sleeping else, but what your jealousies awake, I tell you, 'tis rigor and not law. Your honors all, I do refer me to the oracle. Apollo be my judge.
This your request is altogether just, therefore bring forth, and in Apollo's name, his oracle.
The Emperor of Russia was my father. Oh, that he were alive and here beholding his daughter's trial, that he did but see the flatness of my misery, yet with eyes of pity, not revenge.
You here shall swear upon this sword of justice that you, Cleomenes and Dion, have both been at Delphos, and from thence have brought the sealed up oracle by the hand delivered of great Apollo's priest, and that since then you have not dared to break the holy seal, nor read the secrets in it. All this we swear.
Break up the seals and read.
Hermione is chaste, Polixenes blameless, Camillo a true subject, Leontes a jealous tyrant, his innocent babe truly begotten, and the king shall live without an heir if that which is lost be not found. Blessed be to the great Apollo.
Praised.
Hast thou read truth?
Aye, my lord. Even so as it is here set down.
There is no truth at all in the oracle. The session shall proceed. This is mere falsehood.
My lord the king, the king.
What is the business?
Oh, sir, I shall be hated to report it. The prince, your son, with mere conceit and fear of the queen's speed, is gone.
How? Gone?
Is dead.
Apollo's angry, and the heavens themselves do strike at my injustice. How now there?
This news is mortal to the queen. Look down and see what death is doing.
Take her hence. Her heart is but overcharged. She will recover. I have too much believed my own suspicion. Beseech you tenderly apply to her some remedies for life. Apollo, pardon my great profaneness against thine oracle. How reconcile me to Polixenes, new woo my queen, recall the good Camillo, whom I proclaim a man of truth, of mercy, for being transported by my jealousies to bloody thoughts and to revenge. I choose Camillo for the minister to poison. My friend Polixenes, who which hath been done, but that the good maid of Camillo tardied my swift command, though I with death and with reward did threaten and encourage him, not doing it and being done. He most humane and filled with honor to my kingly guest, unclapsed my practice, quit his fortune here, which you knew great into the hazard of all uncertainties himself commended. No richer than his honor, how he glisters through my rust, and how his pity does my deeds make the blacker.
Thank you.
Yay.
So that was long because Winter's Tale is long, but it serves to kind of give the elements of what I'm talking about in this theme that we've got going on. So Hermione tells Leontes, you're mistaken. That's not what's going on. Leontes refuses to listen to her. Then we have the oracle itself, this supernatural intervention, confirming what Hermione has said. And Leontes still refuses to listen. And then he gets his comeuppance. And, of course, because Leontes repents and, several thousand lines later, he gets a reasonably happy ending eventually, after, almost 20 years. But those are kind of the bits and pieces that we're looking for throughout here. So may we move on to our next, and after we do Calpurnia, which is much, 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 much shorter, then we can open it up for questions, etc.
Yeah, let me scroll to that. Let me share that real quick. Share. Okay. Just as a little review, which I love this scene because it starts with Calpurnia reminding him, I'm a strong woman. I'm not afraid of anything. And then this happens.
Right. So what have we got to read, Sean?
This is, I put the text in the chat. This is Calpurnia, Julius Caesar. So we need a Calpurnia, we need a Caesar, and we need a Decius Brutus to come in about maybe a third of the way from the end to talk him out of it. And let me go ahead and change my screen sharing so that it's this one. And we will go ahead and it starts with, let's see, 973. So right with Caesar, and I'll just read up the servant line. You want to, Erin, do you want to take Calpurnia, this one?
Sure. Do we have a third?
Stu, would you like Caesar or Decius Brutus?
Um.
Or Roland?
Oh, no, I want to be Caesar. There.
Roland's unmuting. Roland's unmuting.
Okay.
Hi.
Roland,
Hi, Roland. Will you read with us?
Sure.
Okay. Why don't you take Decius Brutus?
Okay.
And do you have the text?
Can I just use it from the screen?
It's fine. I'll go ahead and keep up, and you can just read from the screen.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Oh, heaven or earth have been at peace tonight. Thrice has Calpurnia in her sleep cried out, "Help, ho, they murder Caesar." Who's within?
My lord?
Go bid the priests to present sacrifice and bring me their opinions of success.
I will, my lord.
What mean you, Caesar? Think you to walk forth? You shall not stir out of your house today.
Caesar shall forth. The things that threaten me ne'er look but on my back. When they shall see the face of Caesar, they are vanished.
Caesar, I never stood on ceremonies, yet now they fright me. There is one within, besides the things which we have seen and heard and seen, recounts most horrid sights seen by the watch. A lioness hath whelped in the streets, and graves have yawned and yielded up their dead. Fierce, fiery warriors fought upon the clouds in ranks and squadrons in right form of war, which drizzled blood upon the Capitol. The noise of battle hurtled in the air, horses did neigh, and dying men did groan, and ghosts did shriek and squeal about the streets. Oh, Caesar, these things are beyond all use, and I do fear them.
What can be avoided? Whose end is purposed by the mighty gods? Yet Caesar shall go forth, for these predictions are to the world in general as to Caesar.
When beggars die, there are no comments seen. The heavens themselves blazed forth the death of princes.
Cowards die many times before their deaths. The valiant never taste of death but once. Of all the wonders that I yet have heard, it seems to me most strange that men should fear seeing the death. A necessary end will come when it will come. What say the augurers?
They would not have you stir forth today. Plucking the entrails of an offering forth, they could not find a heart within the beast.
The gods do this in shame of cowardice. Caesar should be a beast without a heart if he should stay at home today for fear. No, Caesar shall not. Danger knows full well that Caesar is more dangerous than he. We are two lions littered in one day, and I the elder and more terrible, and Caesar shall go forth.
Alas, my lord, your wisdom is consumed in confidence. Do not go forth today. Call it my fear that keeps you in the house and not your own. We'll send Mark Antony to the Senate House, and he shall say you are not well today. Let me upon my knee prevail in this.
Mark Antony shall say I am not well, and for thy humor I will stay at home. Here's Decius Brutus. He shall tell them so.
Caesar, all hail. Good morrow, worthy Caesar. I come to fetch you to the Senate House.
And you are come in very happy time to bear my greeting to the senators, and tell them that I will not come today. A cannot is false, and that I dare not falser. I will not come today. Tell them so, Decius.
Say he is sick.
Shall Caesar send a lie? Have I in conquest stretched mine arm so far to be afraid to tell graybeards the truth? Decius, go tell them Caesar will not come.
Most mighty Caesar, let me know some cause, lest I be laughed at when I tell them so.
The cause is in my will. I will not come. That is enough to satisfy the Senate. But for your private satisfaction, because I love you, I will let you know. Calpurnia, here my wife, stays me at home. She dreamed tonight she saw my status, which, like a fountain with 100 spouts, did run pure blood. And many lusty Romans came smiling and did bathe their hands in it. And these does she apply for warnings and portents, and evils imminent, and on her knees hath begged that I will stay at home today.
This dream is all misinterpreted. It was a vision, fair and fortunate. Your statue, sprouting blood in many pipes, in which so many smiling Romans bathe, signifies that from you great Rome shall suck reviving blood, and that great men shall press for tinctures, stains, relics, and cognizance. This by Calpurnia's dream is signified.
And this way have you well expounded it.
I have, when you have heard what I can say, and know it now, the Senate hath concluded to give this day a crown to mighty Caesar. If you shall send them word you will not come, their minds may change. Besides, it were a mock apt to be rendered for someone to say, break up the Senate till another time when Caesar's wife shall meet with better dreams. If Caesar hide himself, shall they not whisper, lo, Caesar is afraid? Pardon me, Caesar, for my dear, dear love to our proceeding bids me tell you this, and reason to my love is liable.
How foolish do your fears seem now, Calpurnia? I am ashamed I did yield to them. Give me my robe, for I will go.
Thank you.
Yay.
So now we have two examples that we can talk about. It's kind of the same thing that we were just looking at with Hermione, where Calpurnia sets forth, her wishes based upon the dream that she has had and the portents that she has heard about out in the city of Rome. And Caesar's having none of that. He says that's not enough. Then we've got the servant come in and say that the augurs have found this result that has confirmed what Calpurnia has said. But Caesar is even more arrogant than Leontes. So even with this mounting up proof, he still says, no, absolutely not. I'm going to do what I want. So then we have Decius Brutus come in. He has his whole argument about, what excuse is he going to make or none. And Decius Brutus, who of course has his own agenda here in getting Caesar to the Senate House, propounds an explanation of the dream that confirms what Caesar wanted rather than what Calpurnia wanted, with poor result in this case.
Yeah, beware of how you interpret what the oracle says. And also listen to your wives.
Right, exactly. Always a wise thing to do. So, does anybody have any thoughts or comments that they'd like to share about this this pattern that we're kind of developing?
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead. I thought Beth wanted to say something.
No, we're good.
You're muted, Beth.
Okay, I was going to say, think of how many people who may have told during Shakespeare's time their spousal unit, don't do this, don't do that, or this is going to happen. And these characters may actually be based on those actual people, just given the historical names with some history thrown in. So we'll go, ooh, so that's really what happened.
I'm really excited to hear you pull that out so early in the examples that I've developed, because what you're going to see as we're going through is that the majority of the examples we have here are from the histories. And I have a theory on why that is, but I'm not going to share it with you until I have presented you with more evidence to back myself up.
Totally.
Okay. I've gone ahead and put the PDFs for the next two bits in the chat. And I will also put the open source. Are the links to open source easier, or are the PDFs easier for people?
By the way, I think that it's interesting that the first two examples that you have involve kings, and kings in themselves, although they don't listen to their wives, they don't necessarily listen to their advisors either.
That's true.
Because they're kings and they don't want to show weakness, and they think they're always right. So, I tossed that out as well.
Yeah, there's also
That is true. Let's see if we can refine this into a less general sort of. Kings don't listen to people. That we're going to try to funnel it down now.
All right,
But their
let's go ahead and-
children may learn from them and listen to their spy masters, so other things won't happen. Because as we know, Walsingham and the Cecils were most excellent at providing accurate information that was listened to.
You're right.
One
Hey,
thing
I'm-
I've always found interesting about Julius Caesar, that scene we just read, is that the scene immediately after that is Brutus doing the exact same thing with his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Shakespeare probably did that on purpose just to show the not necessarily oppositeness of the two of them, but how their interests are very different.
And of course, we know that when something is repeated, it's never done so idly. There's something that you're supposed to tease out there, right?
So I'm going to go ahead and put up the next slide.
Awesome.
All right.
We have an Eleanor and a Gloucester for this first little half a section here.
Yep. Eleanor, Gloucester. Volunteers for either one.
Because if you don't volunteer, you just have to listen to us read.
Yeah, you still have to listen through it.
Perfectly all right. I'm too dyslexic and I would totally, I don't want to have Bob Fosse try to teach me jazz hands in hell because I did it so badly.
Yeah, he'd probably teach you isolations as well. So, all right, we're gonna, I'll go ahead and take Gloucester if you want to take Eleanor.
Sure.
Okay, and let me do some hijinks here. And I'm gonna try, why did it do that? That's so weird. And optimize.
I like the parallel you made with Brutus there, Roland. I only wish we had the time to include even more examples.
Hide sidebar. There we go. All right, where does this start? With Eleanor, and I think it goes
Top of 1-2.
top of 1-2, and it goes to 327.
Ready?
Yep.
Why droops my lord like over-ripened corn, hanging the head at Ceres' plenteous load? Why doth the great Duke Humphrey knit his brows as frowning at the favours of the world? Why are thine eyes fixed to the sullen earth, gazing on that which seems to dim thy sight? What seest thou there? King Henry's diadem, enchased with all the honours of the world? If so, gaze on and grovel on thy face until thy head be circled with the same. Put forth thy hand, reach at the glorious gold. What, is it too short? I'll lengthen it with mine. And having both together heaved it up, we'll both together lift our heads to heaven, and never more abase our sight so low as to vouchsafe one glance unto the ground.
Oh, Nell, sweet Nell, if thou dost love thy lord, banish the canker of ambitious thoughts, and may that thought, when I imagine ill against my king and nephew, virtuous Henry, be my last breathing in this mortal world. My troublous dream this night doth make me sad.
What dreamed, my lord? Tell me, and I'll requite it with sweet rehearsal of my morning's dream.
Methought this staff, mine office badge in court, was broken twain, by whom I have forgot, but as I think, it was by the cardinal. And on the pieces of the broken wand were placed the heads of Edmund, Duke of Somerset, and William de la Pole, first Duke of Suffolk. This was my dream. What it doth bode, God knows.
This was nothing but an argument that he that breaks a stick of Gloucester's grove shall lose his head for his presumption. But list to me, my Humphrey, my sweet Duke. Methought I sat in a seat of majesty in the Cathedral Church of Westminster, and in that chair where kings and queens are crowned, where Henry and Dame Margaret kneeled to me, and on my head did set the diadem.
Nay, Eleanor, then I must chide outright. Presumptuous dame, ill-nurtured Eleanor, art thou not second woman in the realm, and the protector's wife, beloved of him? Hast thou not worldly pleasure at command above the reach or compass of thy thought? And wilt thou still be hammering treachery to tumble down thy husband and thyself from top of honor to disgrace's feet? Away from me, and let me hear no more.
What, my lord? Are you so choleric with Eleanor for telling by her dream? Next time I'll keep my dreams unto myself and not be checked.
Fascinating.
So now we've got a reversal of what we were talking about just this last time, where instead of Caesar having the ambition and Calpurnia putting the brakes on, now we've got Eleanor pushing Gloucester to do the same. And if we can have the other half, please, Sean, we'll see how that plays out.
See how
The
this
spoiler
goes.
is it is not well.
Never is.
Okay, 1, 2, 2, 1, 4. Okay. There we go. And we have Bolingbroke and Eleanor. We still have Eleanor. We also have Hume and Spirit. Spirit will wind up reading all of the spirit roles. So, Roland, Stu, any ambitions here?
Well, I've read twice. Roland, do you want to take one of these?
Okay. I don't really care which one.
Will you
Let
read
me ask
Bolingbroke,
you-
Roland?
Okay.
And I'll take Father Hume, and is that okay, or do you want to read Father Hume
No, you do. You do Hume.
and the Spirit, or do you
You
want
do
to
Hume and Spirit.
Okay.
And do you want to continue with Eleanor, Erin, or
Sure.
okay? Let me match it up. There we go.
All right. Come, my master, the Duchess, I tell you, expects performance of your promises.
Master Hume, we are therefore provided. Will her ladyship behold and hear our exorcism?
Aye, what else? Feel you not her courage?
I have heard her reported to be a woman of an invincible spirit, but it shall be convenient, Master Hume, that you be by her aloft, while we be busy below. And so I pray you go in God's name and leave us. Mother Jourdain, be you prostrate and grovel in the earth. John Southwell, read you and let us to our work.
Well said, my masters, and welcome all to this gear, the sooner the better.
Patience, good lady. Wizards know their times. Deep night, dark night, the silence of the night. The time of night when Troy was set on fire. The time when screech owls cry and band dogs howl. The spirits walk and ghosts break up their graves. That time best fits the work we have in hand. Madam, sit you and fear not. Whom we raise, we will make fast within the hallowed verge.
Ceremonies, Bolingbroke, Southwell reads, lightning and thunder, then the spirit riseth.
Oh, sorry. Add some.
Osmond, by the eternal God, whose name and power thou tremblest at, answer that I shall ask, for till thou speak thou shalt not pass from hence.
Ask that thou wilt, that I had said and done.
First of the king, what shall of him become?
The Duke yet lives that Henry shall depose. But him outlive and die a violent death.
What fates await the Duke of Suffolk?
By water shall he die and take his end.
What shall befall the Duke of Somerset?
Let him shun castles, safer shall he be upon the sandy plains. Then with castles mounted stand, have done for more I hardly can endure.
Descend to darkness and the burning lake. False fiend, avoid.
Okay, here comes Richard Plantagenet, Duke of Gloucester, everybody. That's wrong. That says Duke of Gloucester.
Because Duke of Gloucester is supposed to be possessed. Oh well. So I'll go ahead and read this. Lay hands upon these traitors and their trash. Beldam, I think we watched you out an inch. What, madam, are you there? The king and commonweal are deeply indebted for this piece of pains. My lord protector will, I doubt it not, see you well guerdon for these good deserts.
And he does, but then he is, later thrown in the tower and dies himself.
Yeah. So, yeah. Part 1, I had a dream. Part
What's
2, let's do this.
Right. So we've got Eleanor taking this vision that she's had, and well, it's a dream, but she calls it a vision because she couples that with her ambition to make it happen. And then we've got the warnings that her husband had given her that this is a terrible idea. Don't do that. You already have it really good. Why are you upsetting the apple cart here? And of course, now we've got her not listening because she wants to interpret the dream in the way that she sees fit, and the warnings that he has given her come to pass.
Proving that ego has either gender. It doesn't matter. If you've got ego, you want it.
Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
And once again, we've got Beth giving us a wonderfully leading comment there. It's almost as if I had given you notes. She's really not a plant, I promise. I promise she's not a plant.
Oh no,
I've never met this woman before in my life. But so the next two examples that we have are ladies in Shakespeare who are variously described as being masculine because of their ambition. Go ahead, Sean.
Okay, so this one, Lady Macbeth.
I've heard
we all
of her.
know about this one and the witches and I mean she's a big one. I mean, she specifically calls out to like have herself unsexed by the spirits. Okay, Hecate shows up and chides the witches themselves for like doing a half-assed job. Like, hey, come on, get on with this. Much like the ghost in Hamlet. It's like, did you do what I said? No. Okay. So.
But then, of course, we must remember that maybe the hags from the Scottish play were simply waiting for Terry Pratchett to reinvent them as the Weird Sisters.
If you get a chance to read all the discs of stage, I highly recommend you do so. That is for those of you who are unaware. That is the Terry Pratchett Discworld version of the Scottish play.
Oh, it's so awesome. Let me actually get the text up real quick. And there's only 2 people in the scene because it's the lady and the Mackers.
That's great. 2 is less than 5.
Let me have the sidebar. Let me fix this up. And change the sharing screen. You're hearing me like talk as if I'm like climbing a mountain. Oh, did I get
Can we get the Price is Right little mountain climber guy song, please?
Yeah. Let me also get the...
Can you yodel, Sean?
Not well. I know people who do it really awesome, though. Let me also send everybody the PDF and put the link in just to be complete with things. Okay, now everybody should have it. And preferences, ambitions. Who would love to read with Lady Mac or Mackers? I will gladly go ahead and do either one.
Sure. Okay. It doesn't look like we have volunteers, so I think we're it, Sean.
It's okay, it's a lot of talking. Let me go ahead. I'll go ahead and do Macbeth.
Okay. Shall we?
Yep, let's do. We shall.
That which hath made them drunk hath made me bold. What hath quenched them hath given me fire. Hark! Peace! It was the owl that shrieked, the fatal bellman which gives the sternst good night. He is about it. The doors are open, and the surfeited grooms do mock their charge with snores. I have drugged their possets. The death and nature do contend about them, whether they live or die.
Who's there? What ho?
Alack, I am afraid they've awaked, and 'tis not done. The attempt and not the deed confounds us. Hark, I laid their daggers ready. He could not miss 'em. Had he not resembled my father as he slept, I had done it. My husband!
I have done the deed. Didst thou not hear a noise?
I heard the owl scream and the crickets cry. Did not you speak?
When?
Now.
As I descended.
Aye.
Hark. Who lies in the second chamber?
Donald Bain?
This is a sorry night, sorry sight.
A foolish thought to say a sorry sight.
There was one did laugh in his sleep, and one cried murder, that they did wake each other. I stood and heard them, but they did say their prayers and addressed them again to sleep.
There are two lodged together.
One cried, God bless us, and amen. The other, as they had seen me with these hangman's hands, listening to their fear, I could not say amen. When they did say, God bless us.
Consider it not so deeply.
But wherefore could I not pronounce amen? I had most need of blessing, and amen was stuck in my throat.
These deeds must not be thought after these ways, so it will make us mad.
Methought I heard a voice cry, sleep no more. Macbeth does murder sleep, the innocent sleep. Sleep that kneads up the raveled sleeve of care, the death of each day's life. Sore labor's bath, balm of hurt minds. Great nature's second course, chief nourisher in life's feast.
What do you mean?
Still it cried, sleep no more, to all the house. Glamis hath murdered sleep, and therefore Cawdor shall sleep no more. Macbeth shall sleep no more.
Who was it that thus cried? Why, worthy Thane, you do unbend your noble strength to think so brain-sickly of things. Go get some water and wash this filthy witness from your hand. Why did you bring these daggers from the place? They must lie there. Go carry them, and smear the sleepy grooms with blood.
I'll go no more. I am afraid to think what I have done. Look on it again, I dare not.
Infirm of purpose, give me the daggers. The sleeping and the dead are but as pictures. 'Tis the eye of childhood that fears a painted devil. If he do bleed, I'll gild the faces of the grooms withal, for it must seem their guilt.
Whence is that knocking? How is it with me when every noise appalls me? What hands are here? They pluck out mine eyes. Will all Neptune's ocean wash this blood clean from my hand? No, this hand will rather the multitudinous seas in incarnadine make the green one red.
My hands are of your color, but I shame to wear a heart so white.
That's
There we
cutting.
are. So, why I toyed with whether this particular scene belonged here, because of course, when you're talking about visions and prophecies, what you think of is the witches, right? But I decided to include this instead because Sean and I were talking about this theme of the wives of Shakespeare propelling the plot forward, and I'd be interested to hear what people think about that.
And this case is not in a good way.
No, it's not in a good way. Mm-hmm. One of the kind of parallels that I wanted to point out here is that she's hearing these portents, the owl and the crickets, and dismissing them and making fun of Macbeth for putting stock in these superstitions that he has. And then of course she's mocking him because his hands are bloody. And go wash your hands. And you're carrying on for no reason. And then, of course, later on, she's the one who's going mad over this blood that she thinks that she has on her hands.
Yeah. Like, oh, I'm a little bit hesitant. Well, then I'll be brave.
Right. She's hoisted by her own petard a little bit here.
A bit.
Anyone else want to weigh in?
And of course, the whole play is just filled with all kinds of stuff. I mean,
of course.
And later on, you even got Macbeth saying, I'm gonna go check out those three, witches and find out if they have any more to say to me, any more advice, because that last bit was so clear, and it was so great and awesome that everybody is really happy with me.
Right.
Let's just dig our hole a little deeper now.
And the way that you can't outrun fate, because if the prophecy says that that Dunsinane Wood with the Burnham Wood will come to Dunsinane, then it's coming, whether that makes any sense or not.
It's gonna happen. You'll figure it out when it happens. This prophecy is not going to help you prepare.
guess here where the Macbeth will die a certain way, and he winds up dying that way. So,
Yeah.
Oh,
So we
anyway,
have one more?
Yeah, I think we have one more slide. I'm just going to give you the summary here, and you can. What's this one about?
Well, now, of course, Queen Margaret has been present in one way or another throughout the whole War of the Roses cycle.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've gotten to see her ride into battle, and you want to talk about Lady Macbeth giving people a hard time for not having what she considers sufficient courage. Queen Margaret could definitely teach her a thing or two about that. But of course, by the time we get to Richard III, she's older and she's had all of these things happen to her. Which, as I point out here in my slide, the one moment in which I am going to read to you from it, we get a nice recap, just in case everyone has forgotten what happened over the last 7 plays. we like to call that the for those of you who were in the bathroom speech.
Yeah, it's like, just in case, you only bought the ticket to this one, here's what happened. Here's the body count for the last, 3 plays before this,
oh.
and then some.
Right. So I wanted to include Queen Margaret, but for that reason, I decided to get, kind of like the capstone here of her whole involvement.
Yeah. This is a really good one, too. Let me switch over. And this
Thank you,
is.
Sean. I'm glad you like it.
I love these. So this is Queen Margaret, Queen Elizabeth, and the Duchess of York. Mainly it's Margaret and Elizabeth. York is a little bit less heavy lifting. So who would like what? Stu, if you want to jump in, go for it, Roland.
I'll do. I can do the Duchess of York.
Okay.
Brilliant. Erin or Roland, Roland, do you want to skip this one or do you want to jump in?
I think probably skip this one.
That's cool. All right, Erin.
You lead us off, Sean.
Oh, what, do you want to flip a quarter? I'll go ahead and go with Margaret.
Okie doke.
Okay. And we're only going to okay. So now prosperity begins to mellow and drop into the rotten mouth of death. Here in these confines, slyly have I lurked to watch the waning of my adversaries. A dire induction am I witness to, and will to France, hoping the consequence will prove as bitter, black, and tragical. Withdraw thee, wretched Margaret. Who comes here?
Ah, my young princes, my tender babes, my unblown flowers, new appearing sweets, if yet your gentle souls fly in the air and be not fixed in doom perpetual, hover about me with your airy wings and hear your mother's lamentation.
Hover about her. Say that right for right hath dimmed your infant morn to aged night.
So many miseries have crazed my voice, that my woe-wearied tongue is mute and dumb. Edward Plantagenet, why art thou dead?
Plantagenet doth quit Plantagenet. Edward for Edward pays a dying debt.
Wilt thou, O God, fly from such gentle lambs and throw them in the entrails of the wolf? When didst thou sleep when such a deed was done?
When holy Harry died, and my sweet son.
Blind sight, dead life, poor mortal living ghost, woes seen, world shame, graves due by life usurped. Brief, abstract, and record of tedious days, rest thy unrest on England's lawful earth. Unlawfully made drunk with innocent's blood.
Oh, that thou wouldst as well afford a grave as thou canst yield a melancholy seat, then would I hide my bones, not rest them here. Oh, who hath any cause to mourn but I?
If ancient sorrow be most reverend, give mine the benefit of seniority, and let my woes frown on the upper hand, if sorrow can admit society. Tell o'er your woes again by viewing mine. I had an Edward, till a Richard killed him. I had a Harry till a Richard killed him. Thou hast an Edward till a Richard killed him. Thou hast a Richard till a Richard killed him.
I had a Richard too, and thou didst kill him. I had a Rutland too. Thou hopest to kill him.
Thou hast a Clarence too, and Richard killed him. From forth the kennel of thy womb hath crept a hellhound that doth hunt us all to death. That dog that had his teeth before his eyes to worry lambs and lap their gentle blood, that foul defacer of God's handiwork, that excellent grand tyrant of the earth that reigns in galled eyes of weeping souls, thy womb let loose to chase us to our graves. O upright, just, and true disposing God, how do I thank thee that this carnal cur preys on the issue of his mother's body and makes her pew fellow with others' moan.
O Harry's wife, triumph not in my woes. God witness with me, I have wept for thine.
Bear with me, I am hungry for revenge, and now I cloy me with beholding it. Thy Edward he is dead that stabbed my Edward. Thy other Edward dead to quit my Edward. Young York, he is but boot, because both they match not the high perfection of my loss. Thy Clarence, he is dead that killed my Edward. And the beholders of this tragic play, the adulterate Hastings, Rivers, Vaughan, Grey, untimely smothered in their dusty graves, Richard yet lives. Hell's black intelligencer only reserved their factor to buy souls and send them thither. But at hand, ensues his piteous and unpitied end. Earth gapes, hell burns, fiends roar, saints pray to have him suddenly conveyed away. Cancel his bond of life, dear God, I pray, that I may live to say the dog is dead.
Oh, thou didst prophesy the time would come that I should wish for thee to help me curse that bottled spider, that foul bunch-backed toad.
I called thee then, vain flourish of my fortune. I called thee then, poor shadow, painted queen, the presentation of but what I was, the flattering index of a direful pageant. One heaved a high to be hurled down below, a mother only mocked with two sweet babes, a dream of what thou wert, a breath, a bubble, a sign of dignity, a garish flag, to be the aim of every dangerous shot, a queen in jest, only to fill the scene. Where is my husband? Where is thy husband now? Where be thy brothers? Where are thy children? Wherein dost thou joy? Who sues to thee and cries, God save the queen? Where be the bending peers that flattered thee? Where be the thronging troops that followed thee? Decline all this and see what now thou art. For happy wife, a most distressed widow. For joyful mother, one that wails the name. For queen, a very caitiff crowned with care. For one being sued to, one that humbly sues. For one that scorned at me, now scorned of me. For one being feared of all, now fearing one. For one commanding all, obeyed of none. Thus hath the course of justice wheeled about, and left thee but a very prey to time. Having no more but thought of what thou wert, to torture the more, being what thou art, thou didst usurp my place, and thou dost not usurp the just proportion of my sorrow? Now thy proud neck bears half my burthen joke, from which even here I slip my weary neck, and leave the burthen of it all on thee. Farewell, York's wife and queen of sad mischance. These English woes will make me smile in France.
O thou, well skilled in curses, stay a while and teach me how to curse mine enemies.
Forbear to sleep the nights and fast the days. Compare dead happiness with living woe. Think that thou babes were fairer than they were, and he that slew them fouler than he is. Bettering thy loss makes the bad causer worse. Revolving this will teach thee how to curse.
My words are dull, oh quicken them with thine.
Thy woes will make them sharp, and pierced like mine.
So, in this last scene, we've dispensed with the gents altogether, And we've got a scene of plotting curses with two ladies. That was that. I thought that was a good one to end with. Now, Sean, may we have my last slide, please?
There we go. Hold on. Let me grab that. And you just gotta love how Margaret just rips into everybody by that point.
She's so self-centered. Yes, yes, your sons are dead, but let's talk about my problems.
I'm still the unluckiest. No.
So, as Beth pointed out about half an hour ago, most of the plays we've been looking at are histories. And I think that part of the reason for that is because the histories are the portion of the canon where we have the opportunity to have these women kind of being the movers and shakers, and pulling those strings in what was going on. And part of the reason for that is because Shakespeare had slightly less leeway than he did in his wholly original. We'll say for the sake of argument, his wholly original stories that he had to use historical figures that were there. He had to stick close enough to actual reality that his audiences who were familiar with the events would be able to follow along and would be willing to buy in. Now I've got here my little argument here, which I will now open up for debate.
Let's see. The female figures tend to be, coming from above and making a proclamation, or they don't tend, unless they're witches, or they tend to be supernatural mostly.
And in the comedies, much of the time, they're just running around in pants. So
yeah, like Rosalind.
Right.
I was thinking Rosalind's probably the closest that I can
Right.
think of off the top of my head, but yeah.
So there isn't the space for this kind of dynamic to occur so much in the comedies or in the tragedies.
Yeah.
So I think that's why we're not seeing it.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any thoughts about Joan's omission? Does anyone feel strongly about that choice? Or no, you're like, oh my goodness, no, 6 is enough. Let's leave.
I'm I don't really have strong thoughts about Joan from the histories, and it's bad that I don't, probably. It's almost like they could probably do that play without her actually being involved, except for it was an event at that point, and they're just covering the event. And I don't like the way that Joan is portrayed in the histories. Actually,
I think for me, part of the difference is not only what I've laid out here in the slide, that she's acting as more of like a goddess figure in what's going on to the Dauphin, but in addition, you could cut all of La Pucelle's scenes and just leave in the part where the guys are talking about her, and it really wouldn't affect the play.
Yeah, I mean, it's
like she could just be completely off stage and it would not matter.
I mean, how to put this? I have a problem with watching TV shows that are adaptations of books, where what happens is they are just filming, here are the major events we want you to see covered, that because you saw it in the book and you read it and you want to see it depicted. I'm like, you don't have to do that. You could actually focus more on the characters. And I think they just put her in. They could definitely do it by messenger.
Unless you're making a Joel Cohen film of Macbeth, then I want to see Burnham Wood, please and thank you. Sorry,
Yeah,
soapbox. Carry on.
Well, I think that if you need somebody that can make the movie better or the TV better than the book or the play. You need Francis Ford Coppola, who was the only person to ever make a better movie than the original book,
Mhm.
because we all know that with The Godfather. But
Fair. That's fair.
Mhm.
I will note something in the chat that Beth brought up. Catherine Harkup wrote a book called Death by Shakespeare. Oh, thank you for that. Which
it,
what's that about?
it's basically the way Shakespeare kills people off in his play, using comparison to how people died during that time or before that time, medically or by assassination or by whatever means, legally and
Ooh.
all. And it's just a lot of fun. I liked it so much that I gave it to one of my personal physicians who teaches, so that if his students needed something to spark their little attention span, they could read this and have Shakespeare as well as a medical career.
Wait a minute. Hold on. We're using Shakespeare to engage the students more?
Yes.
I love it.
Yes. And also, here's a book I'm almost finished with right now that you might like. It's Henry VII and the Tudor Pretenders by Nathan Amin. And it's basically about the issues that Henry VII dealt with those pretending to be the princes of the Tower, if they had accidentally lived and somehow got out and what was going on. And it's just lots of fun, because when you're a pretender yourself and then you've got to get rid of other pretenders, it's not an easy deal, but he did it well.
And it's written by
Wonderful.
two
Thank you.
Warbeck and
Oh, it's
Warwick
about
and Warwick.
Seminole, Warbeck, and Warwick. Those were all in there because Perkins Warwick pretended to be the second younger prince and everything like that, and all sorts of things happen. But you're just going, okay, I don't have to go to bed quite yet. I'll read a little bit more. But it's always fun. And all of these things, when you see and go to Shakespeare plays, when you've got all this background, you can say, I see the joke here. Okay, the reference here, because you've got the background, and why Shakespeare may have chosen not to include certain things, because he knew the Queen's grandfather did certain things to make sure that things didn't happen again.
Brilliant. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end the recording here, just for that. And thank you all for coming. And we will be doing one more. The next one is music of Shakespeare's time, because ESF tends to do the music of our time as Shakespeare did in his time. He did the music of his time. And we're going to actually do a little bit of exploring what did they actually play during Shakespeare's time. What were some of the tunes that everybody know? What were some of the songs? So we're going to have some fun with that. So thank you everybody for attending, and we'll see you in August.
Have a great